Josh, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so many things, like I mentioned earlier, like I feel like I know you, but I
Yeah.
don't know you just because of social media. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in Naples, and what business or businesses do you own?
Yeah, for sure. So, born and raised in Naples. We started Zookies in 2008, which is a sports bar that my dad and I own. My brother was involved in it for a little while. We still own it to this day. Still, I'm not running it, so to speak, physically anymore. My dad's there every day, and I started Marzucco Real Estate in the end of 2017, and here we are, in 2022, almost 2023, and we're at 400 agents and five offices in Florida.
Well, and so that was your first business that you got into was Zookies?
Um, a real business, I
Yeah.
should say. I was always, ever since I was young, I knew I always wanted to work for myself. I had uncles that owned their own businesses. My grandpa, was pretty successful in both my grandpas actually. They owned, did their own thing, I should say. And I always had crazy ideas in my head. I had a bartending school for a hot second that didn't do anything. I was a charter captain for a little bit. I had an idea for a Zookies party barge boat tours.
Yeah.
That didn't do anything. And so I would say Zookies was the first real business
Yeah.
that actually worked out.
And how old were you?
21 when we started that.
You were 21.
Yeah.
So you had prior to 21, you were already trying to start up businesses and
Always doing something.
yeah.
Yeah. I worked at a golf course. I caddied. I was always trying to do something.
Why, like, where does that drive come from? Why the entrepreneur, like trying to be an entrepreneur, like seek that? Where does that come from?
Definitely, I think it's kind of ingrained in the men in my family. Like I said, both my uncles were that way. My dad, there was never any sitting around. If you were at home on a Saturday morning, I don't care if you went to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. My dad was waking me up and saying, "Go to work, go do something."
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa worked till the day he died, and his famous line always was, "Go to work, go to work." My dad would always say, "Go to work 7 days a week, save your money,"
Mm-hmm.
and I know that's where it came from.
Yeah. And so Zookies was 2013,
8.
2008, and then in 2013 you went into
2015, I got into real estate.
okay, so 2008 you were hands on in
Mm-hmm.
Zookies, and what made you make that change to go into real estate?
Yeah, so good question. My uncles, one is Marzucco's Construction, the other one is Marzucco's Concrete. And while my dad and I were running and operating Zookies, he would either build and flip houses using their license, and or they would just help him out and sign off for him. And for years, my dad would be like, "You need to go get your real estate license. Get your real estate license, so we're not paying agents and waiting on agents, for information and stuff like that." And I was like, I don't want to be a realtor. I'm not. I love running the bar. I love flipping houses on the side and building the house here and there. And so finally in 2015, I met my dad's friend April Keating, who ended up becoming my mentor in real estate. And she really pushed me over the edge. I saw the sales she was making, and I was like, this lady's killing it. And she took me under her wing, and I got my license, and it kind of just like luckily and blessed, I just kind of took off.
Mm-hmm.
I started making a lot of sales just right through Zookies, just through the customer base and just knowing people
Right.
at the restaurant. And I did it under another broker for about 2 years, and that broker got bought out by a big franchise, and they completely changed the structure of the company overnight with like commission splits and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what, I can just do this on my own. And went and rented a little office, like 500 square feet, and had one agent join me. He's still with me till this day. He's actually an equity partner now, and Jesse Logan. And we just opened up, and
Mm-hmm.
one agent turned into three turned into 10, and then we quickly grew out of that office, and I had to upgrade to a bigger one.
How long was it that you went into a bigger office? Like, what
Took
was the
us
plan?
Took us about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then we grew out of it way before that.
Yeah.
I just a little bit was scared to take that plunge into a bigger office, because it was definitely, more money and more overhead, and just it was scary, and it took me a little bit to get over that. And I was never one to not take chances. Like, I take a lot of risk with money and business and investments and stuff like that. But I just, for some reason, it took me a little bit longer with that one to do it.
And so when you just got your license, you were still working at the bar?
Yeah, when I got my license, I was still working at the bar. I was behind the bar at night, in the kitchen, running food, managing. I remember fighting and arguing with my dad, because I was running in the back and taking calls and, texting customers back, or clients, I should say, in real estate.
Were you owner of Zookies?
I'm part owner, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So owning Zookies, and then you saw the other opportunity in real estate. Did you have in your mind opening more bars, or right when you saw the opportunity in real estate, you said, okay, this is my path?
So we did open a second location, and we had it for about 2 years, and it was doing great, but it just got a little overwhelming. Mm-hmm. My older brother and I always wanted to expand and grow, and we wanted to, possibly franchise Zookies, and my dad just never wanted to. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really do it.
What do you say the food industry, or for example bars, they take so much of your time to make probably the same or less amount that what you can make on what you're doing now?
Right, exactly. It's the way we do it. We've never hired a manager, we've never hired a GM in the bar. We're very hands-on. My dad is definitely a control freak. I mean, I'll say that, everyone knows it. And it's time consuming. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to expand with the way he did it. Mm-hmm. He never really trusted anyone with the money and the ordering and stuff. That's like
probably
that.
Probably the hardest or the most impossible way to scale, right?
Exactly.
When it comes to not delegating, it's tough.
You're right. And it is tough. And but they say in the bar business, in the restaurant business, every one of your employees is your partner, because everyone's taking something or giving something away, and it's hard to keep track of it all.
How many family members in that business?
At one time, it was myself, my brother, my dad, my stepmom would help out. My sister even worked there for a little bit. My stepbrother worked there for a little bit.
How is that like to work with family?
With them, it's okay. It's my dad that's the problem. Everyone else always got along. It's just my dad is the one that
Is it the mom and pop system?
It is.
Like
but
a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, it's his way or the highway.
Yeah.
And we got into it one night in the kitchen, and this is when I was active. You and I were talking earlier about MMA. Yeah. This is when I was actively training. And my dad's a pretty big guy, and he owned a bar when he was 18 years old in Pennsylvania. Okay. And if you talk to all of his friends, from back in the day in the 70s and 80s, they said, like, everyone knew in their little town that your dad was not the one. And I know he was a fighter. Like, I've actually seen him in Kid as in action. At a church league softball game, my dad punched his best friend in the dugout. So I know he can handle himself, but we got in a major altercation one night in the kitchen, and he was just saying some things that were really getting under my skin, and I wanted to hit him. I never would, but he could sense that I wanted to hit him. We were like toe to toe with each other. And he looked me right in the eye, and he says, "If you put your hands on me, I'll make you see Jesus Christ." And I was like, you know what? I think I'll go out of the kitchen right now.
That's when the real estate talk.
Yeah, that's when the real estate licensing better and better. But so it was just stuff like that all the time. But at the end of the day, he cares, and nobody cares about his family as much as my dad.
You're gonna have to interview your dad.
Yeah, he would not. He won't. He does not leave that restaurant. You'd have to go there and hook him up to a mic. But
wait, was that the first restaurant he had?
So he and his dad had one in Pennsylvania, in the mid to late 70s into the early 80s, and it was a real successful place, but also a real rough place. Where they're from is in the snow belt south of Buffalo, and a a lot of industry like brick plants, oil refinery. So guys would get off their shift at 7 o'clock in the morning. He'd have a full bar by 8 o'clock in the morning because guys would drink before they would go home and go to bed. And so my grandpa would open up in the morning. My dad would come in at 2 p.m. and stay till 2 a.m. But a guy got shot 6 times in this bar up there. Real rough place.
Wow.
So when my mom they had 2 little kids, my older brother and my older sister. Something big happened, and my mom said that's enough. And he sold it, and they moved to Florida, and he opened a little landscaping company down here. It was the first thing he did down here.
So to Naples?
In Naples, yeah.
Very interesting.
So he's always been involved in business.
Yeah, one way or another. Whether it was with his brothers and the painting, construction side of things. Like I said, the first thing he did was a little landscaping company. And he loves physical work. Like at Zookies, he could sit and not do anything all day and just delegate. But he's in there running food, washing dishes till 11 o'clock at night. He painted houses my whole life, nights, weekends, mowed lawns. So
wow. And so something that I wanted to ask you is, right now you're fully dedicated to Marzucco real estate,
right?
And how big exactly are you guys? Right.
So right now we're a little over 400 agents statewide. We have 5 offices: Naples, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Tampa, and Lake City, Florida. And we're probably going to hold off, maybe do 1 or 2 more offices in 2023 on 2 areas that we're interested in. But more so hold off on the brick and mortar spots for now. I'm going to lean towards going more digital.
Okay.
And see how that works out. We built a really awesome Marzucco University this last 6 months, and it's going good so far. So we're realizing that we have agents that want to join us from all over the state, and I can't go open an office in Tallahassee for 2 people.
Right.
And but if we have a really strong digital platform, and back end side of things, then then they can log in remotely and get everything they need, from their laptop or from their phone.
So from the time you started, how many years to 400 agents?
We're almost at 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years total.
That's fast.
Yeah, it grew pretty quick. I blame it on our structure and our model and our commission structure, and also my equity partners, have helped me out tremendously. My staff, I will never take credit for just because my name's on it. I'm never going to say, oh, I blew this company up. It was everyone around me. Right.
But you played a big role.
I tried my best, and I showed up every day. And, I feel like I was really good at branding and marketing and recruiting the agents. So, I know I did my share, but I had a ton of help.
So you have agents that you don't know? Is that how big you're?
Yeah, there's quite a bit that I haven't met personally.
Yeah.
I try to interact with everyone, whether it's over email or over the phone, whatever it is. But I guess we're big enough now where I haven't met. There's quite a bit of
at this size of growth, delegating. How important is delegating?
It's and that's something I had to let go, because obviously I was raised by my dad and grew up in the bar business the way he did it, and he did delegate, but he really tried to control things too and not delegate. And one of my best friends and a mentor to me is this gentleman named Tom Stefansi, and he's the president of Deutsch Family Wine and Spirits, and they own Josh Wine, Yellowtail Wine, Redemption Whiskey. I actually took his Maserati today to get detailed because they fly in tomorrow, and his wife. Hopefully this doesn't air, but it's a present. It's his Christmas present. He's getting like a full big detail to the car.
Oh,
wow. But he's just an incredible person. Has helped me out tremendously with life and my business.
Yeah.
And he told me, if you don't delegate, you don't grow.
Right.
And you got to let go. And there's another saying: if you don't let go, you don't grow.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted me to take on some equity partners and hire a GM, hire staff in every office, and just kind of not be OCD about everything and be anxious about every little thing. Some things are out of your control, and you just got to let it go.
and things are going to happen.
Right.
Like if you delegate, you know, there's that chance that it doesn't get done how necessarily you would get it done or as good as you would get it done, but it's okay as long as it gets done in a sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now with the internet, how much do you think you said you have 2 daughters?
2 daughters, yeah.
How much do you think they're an advantage for the knowledge that you have now? Like comparing, for example, when you come from a family that's been in business, right? And I think that helps you to kind of have a different view on things. How much do you think you are going to impact your daughters?
I think quite a bit. They're already way more tech savvy than I am, and on the internet, and they're showing me stuff on my phone every day. My oldest one, I don't think is too interested in real estate, but my younger one is already like, she went as a broker for career day, and she's comes in the office all the time, and she's like telling people what to do and walking around like a dictator. She wants to work, but I think it will help them out quite a bit. My dad was always the hardest working person I know, but very like simple, small town minded. And his brothers were very. They obviously all grew up in the same small town, but they're like Marzucco's Construction is one of the largest construction companies in Naples now, and they're very open-minded. And I always took a lot of advice from them, and I feel like I'm pouring that into my daughters. Like I want them to be open-minded. They're well-traveled. I take them everywhere. We were way too dirt poor as when I was a kid to travel, anywhere. So I love taking them to see things and show them things and let them know there's more to life than, Naples, Florida. And that's my favorite thing about traveling, especially going to like other countries or bigger cities like New York and Chicago. They just seemed in LA, they just seemed like way more technically advanced than us, ahead of the times. And if I go to like New York City, I walk the whole time. Take an Uber or taxi if it's too far, but I will literally, at least one of the days, I'll walk through all the bureaus. I'll walk from like Wall Street to Central Park, and it takes a good 2.5, 3 hours sometimes. But you literally walk through Chinatown, Little Italy.
Because you don't do that here.
You can't do that here. Everything's the same here, and you just see stores and real estate offices and tech buildings and whatever it is. It's just eye-opening, and I come back like feeling empowered and like rejuvenated and want to like innovate something within our company.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I pour that into my daughters, and I let them know that they can do anything. Like literally, I tell them you can go do anything. And
they're not interested in the restaurant.
Cassidy, my older one, worked there at Zookies for a little bit. But
and how is it getting along with Grandpa?
Sure, that's his baby. That's what's funny is that these 2 girls could do nothing wrong in his eyes. He'll let her sit at the hostess stand and play on her phone, and he'll pay her $10 an hour to do it. And it's funny how that changed because they can do no wrong. Like there's no arguing with him. And, all of his grandkids are like, in his eyes, they can never do anything wrong.
Would you say that you come from a family that, for example, if you want to start something, they will say, okay, here, there's a financial help. So
no.
Or you come from a family that will say,
you're on your own.
You're on your own. You're going to start from zero.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's never even given me a cent. And like I said, he'll do anything in the world. If you're hurting or you really are hurting or something, he'll do anything for anybody. But I had to pay my senior year of high school. I had to pay to get my own wisdom teeth taken out. I had to pay to get my own tonsils taken out in high school.
Goodness.
He won't give you a cent unless you are dying on the side of the road if you're his family. My older sister is a different story. She's the only girl, so he'll help her out always. But no, like even he pushed me to get my real estate license, but when he saw I started getting busy at it, he started like making comments to like put it down because he was afraid of losing me at the bar. And but in a sense, he's just trying to like motivate you too. So he'll never, nobody in my family will they'll do anything for you, but they won't say, here, go start a business.
Will you be like that with your daughters?
Oh yeah. I'm definitely spoil them a lot more than what I had, and I'm trying to get better at that. But they're good girls, and they work hard and they have chores and whatever. But, you know, I'm very fast to like go buy them a new pair of shoes, whereas I had the same pair of shoes I would get my brother's hand-me-downs. Like, you know, I actually bought my daughter a new pair of sneakers yesterday, and I feel like I just bought her a pair like 2 months ago. And so I'm trying to get better at that, but I feel like I'm compensating for what I didn't have. And like my dad, after my parents got divorced, my dad kind of broke away from his brothers in the painting company because of the divorce and finances. And we went to St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic School in Golden Gate City because my mom's parents were paying for it. And then after the divorce, I don't know if they were still willing to pay for it or not. But anyway, my dad took the janitor job at the school so we could get free tuition and he could still have health insurance for himself and for us. And the job didn't pay anything. So that's why he painted houses at night and we did all kinds of random things on the weekends.
But that was his way of helping you guys.
Yeah, and
Did you see that? Were you aware of that?
Oh yeah. So
would you say you're a very self-aware person?
Yeah.
And if you are, is self-awareness very important for everything, especially business?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
After they got a divorce, my mom bought that house. It was 1996. My mom still lives in that house in Golden Gate City. My older brother and sister chose to live with her, and I was the youngest, and I just was playing so many sports and doing so much. My dad coached everything, so I kind of naturally went and lived with him. But he was flat broke, so we ended up renting a room this size. We rented a bedroom from a Dominican family in Golden Gate, and my dad and I lived in that bedroom for 10 years.
Wow.
And so I mean, I just know what he went through.
So
you appreciate all that.
But does that fuels you? Do you think that
I don't want to be in a bedroom again?
Yeah.
We literally, I slept on the floor for 10 years. He slept on a couch like this. We did our dishes in the bathtub and went to the laundromat.
Wow.
So it was tough, and he struggled.
Yeah.
Big time.
Wow.
So. Did you have any, I'm pretty sure you went through it, but did you have any downsides on the business, on your real estate businesses? Or like, meaning, do you have any struggles?
Every day. So we're always, brokerages are always trying to pick off our agents. Obviously in real estate, you don't make money unless you have an agent base. And we lose,
because everything's commission based, right?
Right. Yeah. And we lose them here and there. Some brokerages offer things that we can't financially, and but we have a pretty good retention rate. I've been sued probably 5 or 6 times in 5 years for something I had nothing to do with. Because at the end of the day, the broker, the LLC, is liable for everybody. And so that's always a struggle. You get a call at 10 o'clock at night and the agent's freaking out saying, hey, I'm about to lose my customer's $40,000 in escrow. And, for something that's sometimes out of their hands.
Right. Yeah.
And you lose someone's escrow, they're going to be pissed. And they're going to come after the brokerage. So it's all liabilities, the main things that I worry about.
Escrow is the taxes and insurance, right?
Escrow is the essentially the down payment to hold the home. Yeah. So when
the deposit.
Right, the deposit. Yeah. So if you buy a $500,000 home, when you submit the contract, usually traditionally you have 3 days to make an escrow, a deposit. And that escrow is your earnest money deposit and saying in good faith, your buyer's going to follow through and do everything they can to buy that home.
Right.
And there's all kinds of financial contingencies and inspections, and there's important dates, and you can't go past these dates or let these dates lapse.
How will you lose that money?
So a perfect example is say you go under contract October 1st and the financial contingency ends October 15th. So that buyer has till October 15th to get a pre-approval, a full pre-qualification from their lender, and say they're moving forward to close on the 30th.
Right.
Say the agent, for whatever reason slips up and doesn't realize the 15th was their deadline to say, yes, we're moving forward, or no, we can't get financing. And it goes to the 16th. And it happens all the time.
So that deposit is
They can lose that
non-refundable?
deposit. Yeah, it's non-refundable.
Oh, really?
And we can file an escrow dispute
Okay.
and try to fight it. But at the end of the day, you know, it's going to come down to someone saying, you know, this is what it said black and white in the contract. And a lot of times they're going to go with what the contract says. So it's just a lot of, you know, my main thing is just, you know, mainly stress with the liability.
And those 5 suits that you were sued, did you win them? Or you
like maybe 2 of them are probably still going on, but the other ones we did are just settled. In my opinion, settling sometimes for a little amount is better than, because you can fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it and just drain it. You know, it will drain you financially. But it's just part of the game. I mean, with real estate, it's part of the game.
Especially at that level, right?
Yeah.
With, like, so many employees and or so many agents and.
At what age would you say things felt like it started clicking? Like you were doing well for yourself? Like, how old were you?
Probably, I don't know. I always felt good about what I was doing. Like, even in my 20s and early 20s, I think I was making a little bit more money because I had my hands in something that, you know, most people weren't fortunate enough to do. You know, I don't know, but I didn't really feel like above water, I guess, so to speak, and good where I can float for a little bit, probably till like the last 2 or 3 years. But in my 20s, you know, I felt like I was doing okay. I wasn't like getting super ahead, but I was saving money and planning for the future.
Right.
But probably the last couple of years is when I felt, you know, when we hit like 200 agents, I was like, okay, you have a little bit of a cushion here.
So in your 30s?
Yeah, definitely in my 30s. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just asking because you know how everything seems like everybody wants it.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah, in real estate, it's not that way. Even in real estate investing, it's a long-term game.
Right.
But even, you know, my advice to new agents that think they're going to get a license and make $1 million overnight, it just doesn't happen. Yeah, like maybe less than 1% of agents got lucky at that and hit home runs, but you know, traditionally it doesn't happen right away.
What's it take? Is it the networking more than anything?
It's all who you know. It's all who you know.
And doing it full time too, right? Because a lot of people do it as a part time.
Yeah, you got to do it full time if you want to make some serious money. But it's all who you know. Yeah, I can show you, in my opinion, you know, people that I think, you know, aren't the sharpest people in the world in this country that are killer real estate agents because they're so good with people. And they're great at creating relationships and they're great at talking and they're people like them and they trust them. And they probably couldn't make it through 2 weeks of college. And but they just have a knack for, you know, relationships. Right. And it's all who you know. I don't care what anybody says. There's no Zillow, Realtor.com, no app, no lead gen source or tech source that's going to make an agent successful. The real serious commission and the real money comes from your relationships and the people you know and them referring you to other people that have money, and it just snowballs after that. Right.
What do you have to be a realtor for Marzucco? Like, what do you look for?
For characteristics wise, I look for go-getters. I look for people that aren't, you know, super shy. And if they are, we never really turn anybody down. We kind of thrive and challenge ourselves to take a new agent that might be shy or has zero experience. Like, we do get a lot of agents like that. But if I was like recruiting, going headhunting, trying to get another agent from another brokerage, obviously look for sales but I look for their personality. I look for their mainly their ethics. You know, make sure they're not doing anything shady. We're very big on, you know, doing things by the book. And if I ever catch an agent not, I'm very quick to let them know what's up. And but personality is key in this business. You got to be able to talk to people. You know, if you walk into a Starbucks, you know, or whatever, don't walk in with your head down and not want to talk to anyone. You know, I look for someone that's going to walk in and see how many leads they can get. And because if you don't talk to people, if you don't have people, you don't make money.
Exactly. If you had to restart from zero today, what are like 3 things? What are your 3 moves if you have to restart from zero?
That's a good question. I would probably maybe structure the company a little bit different, like commission wise. I would be heavy into tech and
or just in general. Like if you had to, like if somebody hit a restart on you and you have to get into business and you have to just
any kind
produce
of business,
anything, produce like money for yourself. What are you doing?
So everyone always says, like, find something you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I call it bullshit because I love to fucking golf, but I thought I was good at one time, but I can't make money at golf.
Yeah.
I really did love the bar business. Got a little burned out by the people, but you got to find something that makes money,
right?
And it's not just making money to get by.
And then you can do what you love.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But you got to do something that makes money, and that's what the $1 million question is.
Yeah.
What can you make money at to get?
What would you do?
I think anything commission based in sales with as little liability and overhead as you could possibly find. Like, if I could start over again, I would love to have like some type of exotic car dealership.
Okay.
And I've always flipped, since I was able to afford it, I've always flipped like exotic cars and boats and stuff like that. Like that's my passion, but I've never made money at it.
Got it.
I've either broke even or lost money on flips. But I think I could figure out how to make money at it with the right resources and people. But then again, that's something I love, but doesn't mean it's going to make money, or I might not be good at that. But anything commission based, like yacht sales, sales. I mean, I think some of your highest, like not like billionaires and stuff like that. I mean, those guys started like tech companies, and that's like few and far between. But people making $250,000 to $1 million a year in this country, I want to say a lot of them are probably in commission based sales.
Right.
And if you can't get ahead making that kind of money, then you're spending money foolishly.
Right.
And
so learn that skill.
Yeah, I would say just the art of creating the relationship. My friend, my friend's a yacht broker, Kyle Rice, and play golf with him. Great guy, kills it in yacht sales. I never met his dad, but I read his dad's book, Relationships That Last a Lifetime. And I'm reading the book, and I'm like, this is literally a lot of the stuff that I preach to my agents. And his dad was killed it in software sales and computer sales, but literally started at the bottom. But the relationships is where it's all at,
right?
In any sales, in my opinion,
right.
Do you think the path you took to how you structure your company is the way to go in real estate, or there's other paths that you'll be like, okay, that could have been better, or that's something that I could have done?
I think it was, because I watched friends try to start companies, and I started with my own money, very low budget. I came off a few good commissions with the company I was working for, and I was like, it's now or never. But I am not keen on like borrowing money from a bank to start a business. You hear about it in the restaurant business a lot. Any business, someone will go take out $250,000, $500,000 loan, and to me, you're already starting with your back against the wall. And starting a business, I would say, and it's hard because a lot of people don't have that capital starting out, so they have to go get a loan. But I would try to start with as little to no overhead as possible. Start as small as possible. I don't care if you're making 50 cents a month. Keep your overhead as low as possible. That's like the best thing I ever learned from my dad is he does no computers, my brother and I have to do all the computers and the QuickBooks and stuff like that, but he has everything in his head, or he writes everything down in a book. He does not spend more money than he makes, and he never lives without of his means. He's not into cars and boats and stuff like I am. His truck he's had since 2008. And he owns 10 houses here in Naples now, 10 rental properties. He can go retire and buy whatever he wants. But he never spends more than he makes, and he knows what his bottom line is always.
Right.
He knows what his nut is every month that he has to make as far as overhead, and he never overextends himself. That's another word, overextend.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or do you feel that you have to enjoy also what you're, if you're making money, you also have to enjoy more than just...
I agree with the enjoy, because he talks crap, like, you know,
I feel like
every time I buy something,
I mean,
he's
what's
like,
the point in working so much
Right.
and making so much money if you're just...
he says he's holding
have
it all
there?
for his kids and his grandkids, and I'm like, fine, you can do that, because I'll go buy a bigger boat. But no, I don't agree with that, because he wakes up, he goes to mass every day, he goes to church seven days a week, he goes to the gym for a little bit, he goes to Zookies, opens up for lunch with the bartender. He might go home and take a nap, which is right across the street from Zookies, and then he comes back by 4:30 and he works till 11:30, 12 at night. So he doesn't travel. Like I said, he doesn't do anything. So no, I don't agree with that, because I get happiness out of traveling. And I'm sure he would too. I'm not saying he doesn't like to, but some people with that old school mindset, like even my buddy Tom Stefanski, the wine guy, he's one of 4 siblings, and they're all CEOs and presidents of major companies. His mom's a nurse. I think she's in her 70s. They could have retired her together 25 years ago. And Tom told me his mom still works till this day because she's afraid of running out of money. And all of her kids are very well off. But some old school mindsets, they're just afraid of not having anything.
Of that change, right?
Yeah.
I would say maybe older mindsets, they're like creatures of habit, right? For a lack of a better term. And the newer generations, it's more risk and change and experimenting in different things.
Right. And instant gratification. That's
also,
what...
probably he doesn't want to live what he lived before.
Right. That's true too. Yeah.
True.
The other thing I was going to ask you, how risky do you think it's for an agent that's starting to make a lot of money, but not creating a system of passive income where you start making money as an agent, and then you start buying this and that, and you start to go into a different lifestyle, but not probably thinking that if you don't sell, that lifestyle can go from 100 to 0.
Very risky. You gotta. That's one thing. Like I say I like toys and stuff like that, but I always buy something that I can get out of, or flip it and get rid of it. So. And
in your case, you created a system where it creates kind of like passive income, right? But for an agent, for example,
it's risky. Yeah, I would say to always have something creating passive income, reinvest that money into something. Whether it's like internet leads to keep those sales going, because if there's one thing about real estate, it can be great one day and not the next. Right. And as you guys know, what happened here in 2007 and 8, that's why we got into the bar business. My dad had just built like 4 or 5 homes, and the market just went.
Yeah.
And,
didn't lose them.
Didn't lose them, thank God. He still has them till this day and just rents them out. But it got sketchy there for a second, and we know a lot of people that did lose them. Yeah. Everyone knows somebody that lost something, and but he didn't overextend himself. He wasn't on crazy borrowed money and stuff like that, so he got very lucky. But for agents, I preach to my agents all the time: save your money, save your money, because you can have 10 sales one month and 0 the next 3. Right. And once you start living that lifestyle and you're starting to spend, and naturally everyone spends, if they have it, we do have quite a few frugal people that work for us, but, you start going out to like dinners and, they go buy a car and shoes, and girls are buying purses and whatever they like. But it can stop really fast. And right now it's slowed down quite a bit. The interest rates are super high. Things are still selling. We are in a bubble here in Naples. We're very fortunate, very lucky to be where we're at. But other parts of the state, in the country have slowed down quite a bit because of the interest rates.
Well, what is it? What is the future? What are future goals for you in real estate?
Definitely want to get to 1,000 agents.
1,000 agents.
My goal starting out was 100.
Yeah.
And so now, I want to hit 1,000. And I'm very excited to start the digital side of things and see what that does. Want to eventually get into not start my own companies, but maybe get into mortgages and title a little bit. Has always been a goal of mine, just as like another source of income. Whether I partner with the people I'm currently with or just get a little bit more involved in that side of things. But my main focus right now is trying to get to 1,000 agents.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on multifamily investments?
Multifamily investments are great. I've never owned a multifamily. I don't even think my dad has. My uncles have.
Is that better than single?
Just depends. Can it be more lucrative? Yeah. I mean, it's, you're talking, it all depends on how you buy it.
Yeah, because this is what I heard. I heard if you buy like a quad, that's 4 doors. If you buy one property, that's 1 door.
1 door, yeah.
If that one person's out of there in that month,
right,
then no income.
Right.
And then if one, you still have 3.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah.
is it that way?
It all depends on how you bought it, whether you own it outright or if you're financing it, through your gills or what, and what your principal payment is and stuff like that. So my dad and I primarily focus on single family rentals.
Okay.
Maybe just because the opportunity for a good buy on a multifamily just hasn't ever came up for us. But I know people that only go for multifamily, and I think that's great. I think they're great. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to what your bottom line is. How low you bought it, and if you bought it through the bank, what your payment is on it, and how you're leveraging yourself.
Are the properties that you own or that your dad owns, are they long term or are some short term like Airbnb?
They're all long term. Like I said, he's old school, so he wouldn't even know how to get on Airbnb. He's had one of my agents might do one of his Naples Park homes try Airbnb this season.
Okay.
I think she has him talked into it, but they're all long term annual rentals. He's very low key, doesn't want to be bothered. He would have to have someone manage it for Airbnb.
Are you into the Airbnb thing?
I've never had an Airbnb property. I've had 2 other rental properties I sold during COVID. I just have my one house now and I love it. I just hated, I don't know. I just hated getting a call at 10 o'clock at night saying the AC went out, and even though I have resources to go take care of it, when I had 3 properties, I felt overwhelmed and like overextended. It wasn't even bad. I just felt that way.
Yeah.
I felt if the shit hit the fan, now I'm liable for 3 properties, not just 1.
Right.
My dad loves that, but he owns them all, and so that's fine. But I love Airbnb. I use it all the time. Just used it in Tennessee last week. I just haven't found the right property yet for the right buy to pick one up.
Got it.
Does it get to a point where more growth, more responsibility, so I just want to stay back a little bit, or no?
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm I played a little bit of day trading during COVID and stuff like that. I was very risky doing that, and I did very well, like self-taught, and I listened to the wrong person after about a year of doing it, and I gave most of it back. But I am very, like I said, I love just having one house now, no rental properties. I kind of feel like right now in my 30s, my mid 30s, I wanted to just enjoy life and boat and fish and golf. And I feel like my retirement is in the company. So I don't need to have 10 houses, rental properties, and I just feel overwhelmed. Like even when I had 2, I just didn't like it. It was like an anxious feeling.
Yeah.
And like you had a lot to look after. So I'm very low key when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying, like I see people trying to buy properties over and over. They're trying to acquire as many properties as they can. And I don't know, I just don't have any desire to do that.
Then you have to get into another game, right? Where you have to find someone to take care of the property.
It's just more stress.
Yeah, it's more stress,
The brokerage causes me enough stress. Like I'm almost full gray at 35. And I don't want any more stress. That's what I'm trying to alleviate as much stress. I've let go a lot. I have my equity partners doing a lot now, and I'm trying to answer as little questions as possible and get as little calls as possible.
That's great.
Because the last 5 years, I mean, it is stressful. When you get someone walks in your office and they serve you with a lawsuit, you don't even know what it's for.
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't sleep for like 3 weeks,
Right.
even 3 months even.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's just, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. Right. Well, Josh, honestly, this interview I could do for. I have a million more questions to ask you. Season 2, we're definitely doing longer interviews, but I do want to say thank you for joining us.
Yeah. My pleasure. I loved it.
Yeah, and yeah, hopefully we could do another one, season 2,
Yeah.
a longer one. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us on Business Minds, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
it.
Yeah, thank you.